This is just a little video. I've had this Anycubic Mega Zero for a couple weeks now, and just a few things I've learned about it. It's my first time 3D printing, so I don't really know anything. So don't take my word for it. There's a lot more experienced people that have many of these machines, but sort of got it just to entertain the kids while they're not in school. We printed a few things here, like these Star Wars little things here, and then we just painted the front yellow. I did a cat for my daughter. It looks like she's using it for holding her paper clips. Anyway, this is really nice print. It came out. It's very light, and it has all these little holes in it. It's really quite cool. The cat. We did a little bunny mold for Easter. So actually, just poured some melted chocolate chips in it. It's kind of a nice little thing. It was fun to do. Anyway, and some other things here. Don't have them right here, but anyway. So after a couple weeks, we figured out a few little problems. They're not problems, they're just things that you have to do. Like keeping the bed level, it does seem to move a bit. The first few days I had a problem that I could hear rattling as the bed was too high, and it was basically the back one was barely on the last thread of the nut. And that's because of the switch off thing I had to adjust. I pushed it all the way down. I undid the screws here, and it was too high, so the bed was too high, and it was just barely floating on there. So now I've put it all the way down, and it's really clamped down to almost the bottom here, so it doesn't have any spring in it at all. That was one thing. Also, the belt here, I tightened up on the other side. It was sort of giving like kind of a wobble like this way. So undoing these things and really tugging on it with a lot of pressure, because this is supposed to be like tight like a guitar string, these belts. I did that, and after a few prints I think it started sliding. This is really smooth. It sort of either slides back down, or this belt was getting stretched a bit more, so I had to redo it. And actually when I redid it, here, I'll take this camera off. So over here I had this pulley here. I made sure that it was really tight like a guitar string, but it kept sort of, I think, coming back. Either this was getting stretched more or something, but also I noticed it was rubbing under here. There's like a sharp bit, and because this roller is kind of being pulled probably this way a little bit, it slid out to the end. So I just added two little washers inside there, and that helped with moving it out from underneath there and rubbing. And also I think it helps grip on this slippery bar, like it's not going to be sliding back that way. Since I have two washers in there, it really grips, and so far I have had no problems. I don't hear rubbing, and I haven't had it to tighten this belt anymore, and the Z wobble's sort of gone. Before I figured that out, I kind of did a little jimmy rig thing. I know you don't need it all here, but I thought it might have been this bar here going up and down, so I printed out some of these little things to sort of stick on the top, and this is just from a lamp, like the top of a lamp. So because I know it has this sliding thing, so it's adjustable on the top. Anyway, I left it on. It's not really rubbing against the thing or anything like that. It's just, I don't know. This is not necessary at all, but I figured, oh, well, maybe this thing, since it's in the air all the time, it may be going up and down. But I think it's just definitely tightening the belt in this part here to keep the Z going, keeping it straight. Also, make sure everything's level. I have this level, and I just make sure this one's really level because it actually was off level, and the top level, your bed nice and level. Also level it, this direction as well. I put little pieces of paper under there just to make sure everything was level. Probably not necessary, but I just wanted to make sure in the first that wasn't going to be a problem. Also, another issue I had was this nozzle was not installed. It was on an angle. Like the little nozzle was coming out. This whole thing was on an angle, and so was the fan was on an angle. After I got everything straight, I looked again, and it was like, this thing's totally on an angle. So I had to remove, there's a screw here and a screw here. So that takes the fan off. And underneath there's like three other screws. And I just had to move the heater thing until it was straight and then tighten up the screws again. Between this and that on an angle, it's perfect now. The bed. Now, I've been using glue stick, this Elmer's brand glue stick. When I really don't want to have any problems, I just put this down. Now it is messy, of course, and you kind of, the surface gets a little gucky. But I really found that works, the glue. For my I just use this brand PLA and use these IKEA sealer strips for chip bags to seal it back up with the dryer in it, just to keep it dry. I also, when this is out of the bag, I seal it up again just to keep the stuff dry inside. So maybe I'll just try to turn this on. I wanted to print the little cat thing. Not this cat thing, but not this cat thing, but the little cat. I guess he's a calibration kind of cube thing, cat, and see how that works. So I'll show you how I make sure the bed is level. You can see that better. Prepare, just home everything. Now they say you should heat it up first before you do the leveling. I don't know. It hasn't made any difference to me. I just do it cold. And also my paper, it's not the cheapest quality, so it's a bit thick. Well, not super thick. Actually, it's just normal paper. But I could imagine if you, depending on what kind of brand paper you have, it could make a difference. Okay, so now that it's homed, I have my paper ready. Prepare, and then the next, once you home it, you have the level corners. Just make sure your paper's under there first. And you can see that it's pretty tight. It actually makes a little bit of a mark in there. I found that works the best for me. Now that might be a little bit too tight for some people. But this is the best if you just want it to stick without any worrying about anything else. So you can see it's leaving a little bit of a mark. Same thing. Still have some filament in from. Make sure you take your filament out and store it, because you don't want it to get full of water. I had one print, I was boiling water on the stove for potatoes, and the window steamed up, but also halfway through a print it made a difference. You could see like exactly where I started boiling potatoes in the print. So it is very sensitive to water. Okay. So I'm just going to go to, oh, I don't have that little cube on here. I'll have to go get that cat cube. So we're going to just print this. It's called a calibration cat. Anyway, my daughter likes cats, so I might as well print this. It's kind of cute. I Actually, I have it downloaded already. So in the Cura here, this comes on the disk that they supply, but I just download the latest version and imported they have two settings for Mega Zero, suggested parameters for PLA and TPU. I'm going to be printing PLA. I did some Lego as well. I forgot to show you that. Files, STL. So there's our cat. So I'm going to use it with the Lego one because I like the Lego one. Now the layer height was 1.5 to give it a little bit of more detail instead of 2. 2 works fine, but if you want something that's a little bit better, I noticed 1.5 was good. I did some ironing on the Lego. Probably don't need to do that here. Ironing just sort of does the top layer, and honestly, it didn't make that much of a difference. Not in this program anyway, maybe in some other ones. So take that off. And I also brought the print temperature up to 205. It just seemed, and from 190, this is more for bed adhesion. I noticed that if you had 190 for the stuff I had, whatever brand, didn't want to stick as well as 205. Print speed, I kind of have it kind of slow. And like I said before, like I half the ones that you want slower instead of putting 30 here. It just works better for the I don't know, calculation probably, because it just takes a lot less time. And I've increased the skirt. I think there's like 3. I put 6, and I've also the distance I put closer to the object. I think it was these were opposite, like 3 and 6. I put them that way. And that's about it. So if we slice this, we'll see how long it'll take. So less than an hour. So I'm going to save it to the file, into my Mega Zero SD card. And I'll bring that back to the printer, the 3D printer. Oops, can't really see it now. Preheat PLA, it's going to go to 190. So I'm going to have to just get the PLA out of the bag here. So when you pull it out, it leaves a little, oops, you can't even get through there. So this little thing, I should have probably cut it off before. It leaves a little thing at the end here that you have to cut off. Make sure it's not this blob at the end. There. It goes through this white thing here. I don't know the names of any of this stuff. And just keep pushing it through till it gets to the end there. So that's almost heated. And for this little nozzle here, it gets dirty. Here, I'm gonna just go prepare, move axis, and then extruder is the last one, and 1 millimeter. Just till this stuff comes out. There it comes. Now this is very hot on the end, so you don't want to touch it. Now I bought this Brillo pad. Now this is, the brown one is high temp one. Goes to 350 degrees before it starts melting. The green one I think would melt it instantly. So using this high temp Scotch pad, I just cut little little pieces of it, and I can clean. If this gets dirty, because it will get dirty, I can just wipe it off with this. And I try to, so far, you know, every couple prints I noticed, oh, it's dirty. So you can just give it, just make sure you don't touch that thing because it's really hot. Then you can clean it off when it only works when it's hot. So these will clean it off once it gets to temperature. You can clean it off with these little pads. Just get them at the hardware store. Anyway, so here's do the extruder again. Actually, while I'm here and it's heated up, I can show you how to take it out. So if you're done at the end of the day, you just, you want to do this quickly. You want to extrude. I don't know if this is the right way to do it, because you don't want melted stuff inside this thing. If you get melted stuff inside there, well, it'll unstick, and I think you can get it out, but you just don't want to do that. So I just try to do this as quickly as possible, like extrude it. I do this and just give it a good yank. Make sure it comes right out when you yank it. So you get this weird thing at the end. Like, don't kind of yank it halfway and then keep going. You have to do it one shot, like shh. So don't make sure there's nothing on the. Your kids always want to be near here, so you got to be careful and just make sure you have lots of space when you're yanking it out this way, that you don't hit anything or knock anybody with your elbow. So I'll just cut that again and stick it back in. And this thing, you gotta be careful because you can get it in knots off the reel here. Okay, extruder. Let's just see if I'm still hot here. Main info screen. Yep, still hot. Down to my extruder. There we go. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna print that card. So I gotta take the card out of here and go to my computer. I don't know how to set it up through the internet or whatever, but it's just this little card. Oh, one thing. Yes, I'll do an insert. This card comes with a whole bunch of stuff on it, like the Cura program, the manual, a whole bunch of different files. Save all that stuff to your computer and keep it safe, and then format this card. All that stuff on there was confusing the reader here, and it was freezing the screen would freeze constantly the first couple of days until I contacted support, and he just said format the card and then just use your G code on this. Don't have all this other crap, just G code only on this card, and no problem since then. It's because it had too much of the crap from the factory on here, all the different manuals and different settings and programs and stuff like that. So you're going to format this card. So back here, put the SD card in. Oh. And just going to check the extruder here. Let's make sure it comes out. I'm sure you don't have to do this, but I just like to make sure it's coming out before I start printing. Okay, go back to main and then print from SD card, and I have to refresh it since I just put it back in, and the Cali Cat. Oh, I'm going to put some glue on just because. Yeah, I'll just wait till it comes to the front here. Now it's heating. Oh, I noticed that it stays at 190, so I'm just going to stop that. and go into the control, I think. Yeah, go into the temperature. Oh, why does it say 0? Hold on. Oh, because I stopped the... Okay, sorry. Print. Prepare. Preheat PLA. Because I noticed in Cura, even if I set the temperature for PLA, it still wants to stay at 190 for some reason. I'm not sure why. TPU, we can set it whatever and it seems to work. So, temperature. I'm going to bring it to 205. Oops. Print from SD. Let's try this again. CaliCat. I'm not sure how big it is, but don't need much glue. I don't press hard, I just a light batch of it. Alright, so I'll bring this a little closer. And now it's starting to do the inside there. Now I can hear popping because it's been raining here for the last 2 days, so I'm sure even if it's in the bag, like it's very humid outside and it's drizzling right now, so anyway, I'm gonna let that go for an hour and we'll come back to it. Actually, so while that's printing, I have this, this is the Lego I made. This is original Lego. So they kind of, it's a bit tighter than the original Lego to go in. I noticed that yeah. I noticed that this clip here is pinched in further. Like here it's more open and it's a little easier. Here it's tighter, so it actually, I think I have to sand this down a little bit because it's much more claw-like and closer together than the original one. So putting it together is, like out of the box there, is not easy. It does go in, but it's just too tight. The claw part here is much more closer in than the original. So it is pretty tight, but if I take a Lego block here, like it does fit on here. Like, actually the the original one, well, maybe because I use it on here, this seems looser now, but this one is like, it's pretty tight. So it works quite well, but you know, it's 2 hours to print out a track. It's kind of useless, unless the only reason you would do this is if you're making a very specialized track, I think. But if you're just buying the standard one, you can get a box for like $20 of these tracks and save you time. But anyway, it's possible, and or maybe you want to do it in a different color or something than gray. But anyway, it has the same flex. Like the original one is like that, and this one is this. It feels exactly the same. It's really weird how that works. This is the other side. Yeah, just have to sand that down a little bit. Unless you really want it that tight, because it really, once it's clipped in, it's not coming out without a lot of force. Oh, here, actually, this is an example here. Which one did we print for? I think we printed the wars first. I don't know if you can see that, but on this side, it started coming up off the bed. This was with no glue, and this was the second print we did, and I was kind of still figuring out what to do. And then I just put glue down on the bed, and it was no problem. It just stuck perfectly. This was at 190 at 2 millimeters, or 0.2 millimeters, and it's actually really quite nice. It's pretty cool. You can do whatever you want with it, kind of thing. So anyway, it's quite fun, this one. Anyway, I'll stop this and let that run. Some other tools that I use, I have a scraper here, because I found that the supplied one is a bit too thick to get stuff that's really stuck down, especially if you're using the glue. Like, this is the one they supply. I think you could probably sharpen it even more if you wanted to get it really sharp, but I found using this is the best for me. Also, the blades I have they're like super keen ones. They're sharper than even like basically a razor blade, or even sharper. Made in Sheffield, England. Anyway, these are very sharp. They're sharper than anything I've ever used. So you have to be super careful with these. But that means they're very thin, and it's very easy to pop stuff off with. Just have to be super careful. Anyway, I'll put this cat back in my daughter's room, because she might be missing her paper clips. Okay, so the cat is done. The Cali cat. Flashlights are handy too. I see there's a little the last bit of ear there. There's a little bit of stringing on him or her. I'm not sure if it's a boy or a girl cat. My daughter will know. But other than that, it's nice and shiny. Like the details in the details in the eye and the nose and the whiskers. It's nice. The layers look nice. There we go. From above. The tail looks good. I don't know if you can see those little whispers at the top there. Yeah, there. But that's about it. So just a little bit of stringing. I also noticed you just let things cool down, because this wouldn't be so bad, but if it was something that's very flat, like the Lego train track, the top layer is still warm, and if you take it off too early, it'll sort of bend up and out. So just, leave things for at least 5 minutes anyway to let it cool off. Anyway, it's very cute kitty. Don't see any problems. It's very straight. The sides look good. Let's see if I can. So you'll see that it's not easy to come off with the glue. So I don't know. It's up to you to use the glue or not. Like something small like this, I don't think you really need it, because the glue really sticks it on there. Like it's not coming off easy. So you might have a higher chance of breaking it with the glue than just not gluing it. But that's what I have this blade thing for. Let's take the skirt off first. Let's get underneath it here. Okay, starting to come off there. Just do the other side. There we go. So this glue just washes off with water, so it's not a problem. So if you want to see the side better. The corners. I'm not sure how these are supposed to print, but I don't see anything weird. Maybe a little bit of, this side's very nice and straight, like, and this side has a little bit of roundness to it on the back here. When it comes to this side, it's a bit rounder, maybe. So minimal, like this too, maybe. Straighter on this side and a little rounder on that side, but not, I don't know what that would mean. But, oh, the top. Yeah, I don't know. I think the ironing helps. I didn't put the ironing on this one. It helps maybe like 10 or 15%, so you don't get that kind of pattern on the top surfaces. But the bottom, if I wash the feet off, you'll be able to tell better. Anyway, the bottom of the tail. Oh. It's a bit rounded maybe. Right in the middle there. Anyway, all in all, you can't complain with the quality. So that's about it. It's handy to have a little piece of paper and write stuff down as you go and try to figure out things. Like here I had like lower the cutoff switch to creep the whole, to make sure the whole bed was lower, so it's less wobble. I added the washers in here to make sure that that doesn't slide along here. So it's this tensioning belt is super tight like a guitar string. I also had check the wheels, but there was no problem with the wheels here. And just make sure everything's level. This stays level, and that's level. My extruder head was on an angle, so I took the fan off and then I loosen the bolts inside of the extruder thing here. Bought the high heat Brillo pad or scrub pad here to clean off the nozzle. And that's about it. Use the double factors for the first layer, or double or divide by 2 for your speeds. I don't know if that helps or not, but it really seemed to make a difference in Cura, like for the speed, the time to take. And that's about it. This little thing here, I don't know, I'm just leaving it for now. It's not causing any problems so far. It's pretty loose up there, like there's lots of space underneath the, like I made a bunch of them before I found one that actually fit. Like it goes in there, it's pretty deep, so it's not touching anything inside. I put grease inside there too, so the threaded rod is not jamming in there at all. And I don't know, I've had good support. I had Larry as a support person. He was really good to explain about the problem with the SD card. I'm sure he hears that all the time, so it was a pretty easy fix. Just format the card. And I don't know. Anyway, I'm very happy with everything, so hope you are too. Take care.